Here we are. Yay. Welcome to the Shamans Tea. I'm Starr and this is Mia, and we're so grateful to be here today. Spilling the tea, the Shamans Tea. Yeah. It's an exciting day. We're going to dive into some juiciness about plant medicine and ceremony and spill the tea about the tea. And so we've had a few people, commenting and, saying, hey, you guys, were you going to talk about ceremony? You're going to talk about the tea, like it's the shaman's tea. So we thought we would dive in and answer some of your questions and yeah, go from there. So how are you, Mia? What's on your heart today? What's going on, sis?
Life is good. Life is really good. Things are coming to life. The herbs are getting big enough to go in the garden soon, and getting ready for the summer. It's hot here today, and it's
Mm.
really, yeah, things are cooking.
You look like a ray of sunshine today. It looks like, oh, yay, the hummingbirds have flown and you are like,
Yeah, the hummingbirds are also here, so lots of feeding, lots of syrup, lots of sugar, and yeah.
yeah, so sourcing that nectar, right? Really thinking about how we source that nectar that really nourishes us and, what is the sweetness of life, is I love hummingbird medicine and how it brings that energy in that says, are we artificially, sourcing nectar, the sweetness of life? Are we looking outside of ourselves for that? Or are we becoming that juicy nectar of love and light, And I love how the hummingbird comes in and just brings that sweetness, that sweet reminder of like, where are you sourcing? Where are you guys sourcing the nectar that nourishes your soul? Is it, through your old habits and addictions, or is it from, the divine and just being in that higher consciousness? So, yay.
Oh,
Mhm.
yes, yes.
Food for thought, you guys. Nectar for your soul right here on the Shaman's Tea. Oh. Mm-hmm.
And I love how you can always take it into the metaphysical. That's what I love most about you, as having you as a friend.
Aw, thanks. I live in that space, I at least I try, I am a quadruple Capricorn, which means that, I kind of like get in and get, like I'm seriously grounded, but it's taken a really long practice and I really do feel like I live my life in that. I'd much rather work out the details of my life in the energetics than in the mundane, I'd much rather work through my shadow side, the gifts, any of it, all of it, and be able to see things from that metaphysical space, from that metaphorical space, from that space of energy, and how, that bigger picture comes to play, in our lives. And really kind of see from that space. And I thank you, I appreciate you saying that, because it is a practice for me, because otherwise I'm really kind of seriously in the mundane and like, the Capricorn in me, so it is a practice. It is a super big practice. I just posted that actually on one of the social media, talking a little bit about that and how, like, are we open to receive? Are we open to receive? And how that in and of itself for me has been a deep practice of opening to receive. And how, when we live in the mundane and we're down here in the weeds in this 3D world, that we really, for me, I really have to practice, okay, let me receive these gifts because I'm such a doer and I get shit done,
Mhm.
and my masculine is very powerful.
Yeah, yeah.
It's true. My masculine is very powerful, and I have to really practice letting my feminine energy shine in that open to receive. And yeah, It's a good thing.
Here I am, all Piscean.
Well, and I think that's why you and I, can connect so deeply, is your Piscean, energy kind of is a great balance for me in this, triple Capricorn, let's get it done. I think my saving grace, though, seriously, is that my Jupiter is in Aquarius. I kind of, and my moon is in Sagittarius.
Mhm.
My North Node is in Leo. So you guys, you're getting the download of who Starr really is. And it's good to know all these things about ourselves, because then we can see where our patterns are and where our weaknesses are, and really try to strengthen up in those places that are perceived weaknesses, or maybe out of balance is a better way to say that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. So here we are.
So I'm having sat in ceremony and participating in the tea, the grandmother tea. Um, I think I've been in it probably about 8 times, and then I had ceremony with you twice.
Bum, bum,
Bum bum bum.
bum.
So I'm going to not just ask questions for myself. I will try and think of questions that people would have who has not been in ceremony and who might have some reservations and be a little bit nervous about ceremony. Yeah. So just to start with, what are the questions that people wanted to have answered when that people responded to?
Okay, so first of all, I'd just like to put out a disclaimer here, right? I have been blessed to study with the Shipibo tribe. My very first maestro that I worked with was Mestiza Pandoro, and he was in Puerto Maldonado, and I met him through Alberto Viaro in my study with the Four Winds. And so when I went to Peru with Alberto way back in the day, 2007, I studied with Pandoro, and then and that study continued after for a few years, and Pandoro passed away, and I found my way to the Temple of the Way of the Light, which is Shipibo. And then I found my apprenticeship with Enrique, who is also Shipibo. So my perspective is from this Shipibo lineage. And I just want to acknowledge that there are many lineages. I mean, this medicine has come to over 350 tribes throughout the Amazon. That to me is amazing, right? That this medicine is a combination of two plants, and that people up and down the Amazon basin have all gotten the download of, oh, put these plants together and let's do this healing and let's do it this way. But in that nuance is that there's lots of different traditions, and there's lots of little, differences. And I'm sure they're all perfect. But my perspective and my disclaimer today is that I've studied primarily with the Shipibo tribe, and that is the door in which I deliver these messages today. Um, I I used to say, Mia, that I hold a tight and right Shipibo ceremony when I'm in, but I can't say that anymore. My foundation is Shipibo, but I also have a foundation of the Kiro medicine of the high Andes Mountains, and been blessed to study, and do apprentice in this way of shamanism in general. So I bring that in, and I bring in the Shipibo, and I bring in meditation, and I bring in the, 20 odd years that I've been walking this path. So it's kind of like this, I've studied medicine dance. I bring in the somatic therapies, all of these different things. So, what I will share today is from my space of apprenticeship, as well as my experience. And yeah, that's all I can speak from. So,
And
as
so
far
there's
as
such beauty in that because when you think about it, we're living in a very interesting time where people use the word cultural appropriation. And yet, this is a plant. This is not a culture. This is a plant, or this is two plants that wants to heal. And different cultures have used this plant. But I don't think the plant has ever said, I'm sorry, your skin color has a little bit too much pigment, too little pigmentation there. I will not work with you. So you have gone and you worked with great respect and learned from this plant. And it is evolving through you because you are a person who has done so much healing and studying. And so this plant is working through you differently than well, no, that's not true. It is working through you despite who you are. It's still
despite my gringoism, it's so true. And that, Mia, was a really big bone of contention for me. And I didn't even know the words, cultural appropriation or misappropriation or, any of those things. But it was very much along those lines of, as the medicine began to call me, and like there was a difference in, and you guys understand this, that the medicine will call you when you are really ready to sit with her. And we call her grandmother. Sometimes we call her abuela. Sometimes it's mother, madre. But when we're talking about ayahuasca at this point in time, and so the medicine will call you when she wants to work with you, when you're ready to have these different layers. And then there's kind of like another different calling when you're supposed to be holding the medicine. And so I had been called to the medicine. Oh, I need to go in deeper. I need to do my own personal work. And so I was coming in, of course, through that door. My very first experience was, Alberto's bringing me to the jungle because he's saying, you need to hone in your tracking abilities, and we're going to go to the jungle and do this through
which
ayahuasca. And so as I'm working one-on-one with clients, not in ayahuasca, but in my shamanic path, that this is going to deepen my ability to be able to go in and see, oh, this is where we need to work. And this is what we need to do. So when we're talking about tracking, this is what we're talking about. Okay, what's going on the physical, what's going on the emotional, what's happening on the energetics, what's happening in the spiritual realm, and really looking at what it is. And so I needed to deepen that practice. And so he felt like, the ayahuasca was the way for me to go in and do that. It was not for me to hold the medicine. It was for me to be able to hone my tracking abilities and be able to work one-on-one with clients and groups in a deeper way. So when I started hearing that calling that I needed to hold this medicine in 2012, I was like, I flat out told the grandmother spirit no. I was like, and that was, like I said, I didn't have the words, but that was what it was. Like, why me? I'm just a little gringa girl. And there's so many people that have been doing this in the jungle, and tribes that have been, like my mentor, Enrique, he's been dieting since he was 12. Yeah. He's 50 something, he's like in this, 56, 57. Yeah. And so like, that's a lot of dieta, like that's a lot of experience. And, he learned from his grandfather, who had been carrying this man, and like, like was the shaman, the medicine man of their tribe. And he learned from, then after his grandfather died, he studied with another, maestro, and, who was an elder and also had, like millions of years of experience. And it starts accumulating and accumulating. So I was thinking, like, no way am I going to hold this medicine. First of all, even back in 2012, I was like, you go to the jungle to take this medicine. You're supported by the jungle, and you're with people who, if this is their culture, that they've grown up with this, and you're going to be sitting with the masters. And I even wrote about it in my book, like, don't take the medicine out of the jungle. It's disrespectful. So here I am in a total, 360, total change of heart. Why did I have that change of heart? Because the grandmother really was persistent and consistent with me of, we need you. We need you. We need you because of the way that you hold impeccable space. We need you because this medicine needs to move out of the jungle. Not everybody can A, afford to get to the jungle, or B, get there. And even back in 2012, she said there's going to be a time where the borders are going to close and this medicine needs to get out. In fact, she was sharing with me that she, the earth, Pachamama, is evolving through us when we imbibe these plant medicines. And this is our process of evolution, not just in humanity, but humanity and the earth herself. That every time that we imbibe our plant medicines and these spirits, we are evolving, and thus the earth evolves as well. And even with that dialogue, Mia, I was still in the no. I was in the no space. I'm not doing this. I can't do it. In fact, what I said to her at the time was, the best I can do is continue my energy medicine practice and clear people out on, this energy level, but I can add colon hydrotherapy to my practice, and then it can clear out on the physical level as well, which is, part of the beauty of what she offers, right? Clearing out on the physical level, which is all about that purge.
Yeah.
And, clearing out on the energetic. And if we couple these two together, and she was like, oh yeah, okay, you do that. And I did. But you know what? She just was persistent, like dreams, over and over, the dreams of, like, she's showing me how I'm holding the medicine. She's showing me dreams of me holding the medicine. She's coming to me in my meditations. She's coming to me where here I am now as a colon hydrotherapist, and people on the table are saying, hey, have you ever heard of ayahuasca? And I'm like, what? Out of the blue, people would come up to me and say, have you ever heard of ayahuasca? Or have you ever experienced it? I'm like, and then it became hilarious because I started practicing in California, and people were coming to me for cleanses to prep to go to Peru. And I thought, okay, well, that I can do. So 2015, here I am back in Peru. And this time I'm not even in the jungle. I'm up in the Sacred Valley. And I was even thinking that it's not right, didn't feel comfortable, or almost like a disrespect to even have a ceremony with ayahuasca in the Sacred Valley. And the shaman there was like, no, no, it's fine. Let me show you something. And she showed me how the Urubamba River connected into the Amazon, and that, we're all connected. We're all connected. It doesn't matter where you are, you're going to connect in to the spirit of this plant. And ayahuasca had shown me, and had been saying to me all that time in 2015 when I was in the Sacred Valley, yeah, I'm going to show you why. I'm going to show you that you are going to hold this medicine. I'm going to show you. And I had seen, all these signs, and, roaming through the Sacred Valley. Oh, ayahuasca at 7:00, come on in. And I'm like, what? No dieta, no that, like, how can you just have a ceremony like at 7:00, a sign on your door, like, you would do it that way, like, I'm like, there's so much prep that goes in. And I could see the tourism, and I could see the bastardization, if you will, of this medicine, and how, it's a quick buck, or it's a quick, the touristy thing, the new trendy trend.
Mhm.
And I thought, oh yeah, I see what you're talking about, Grandma. I see you. I know what you mean. But it still wasn't enough to convince me. I was like, it is what it is. Went into ceremony in the Sacred Valley, and that experience was the experience that I said, oh, yes.
Mm.
I said yes out loud. I said, okay, I would do this. And it's powerful, as you can see. It's like very emotional for me.
Yeah.
I was in the ceremony, and beautiful shaman, little sweet woman, and she kind of went into her own process
Mhm.
during the ceremony. And she was throwing up and crying and crying and throwing up, and couldn't sing. And I could see that the ceremony was getting away from her. And I remember sitting up and I just walked over to her and started running energy to try to balance her out and help her. And here it comes. I start singing. Now, I don't know any Icaros at the time. I started singing Amazing Grace, which is a beautiful song.
Yeah.
And started singing all of my, fire songs that you sing, and, all of the one, and I realized, oh, there was something that settled way deep in my bones, that I had to get out of my own way, that it
Mhm.
was really my small self that was saying, I can't hold the medicine,
Yeah.
and that this medicine is way bigger than any of the bullshit that my ego is telling me that I can't do for whatever reason, and that this plant medicine has to come out into the world, and that it's okay. It's okay that I do this. And something settled so deeply, like I said, in my bones during that time. And I said yes. I,
Mm.
I said yes. Okay, but you got to teach me. You got to set me up with a really good mentor, because, I really want to be in right relationship. I really want to be in a place of deep, deep, deep respect for this medicine and carrying this. And yeah, so my apprenticeship showed up immediately, of course. And it took me a while to get there. I was, that in and of itself is a beautiful story, but it took me a while to get there, because I had some family hoops that I needed to jump through first. Um, End of life care for my mom, blessings, that I got to walk her home. End of life care for my nephew, blessings, that I got to walk him home, all right back to back. And I could not, I had to be there for that. And so, um, yeah, it was absolutely fabulous that I was able to go in. And I still, it is, the life of the apprentice is never ending. You guys understand that. This is the first year, last year, that I have not been back because of COVID and because of the shutdowns in Peru. And so, but I'm still very much involved with my mentor, and we, we do the best that we can in communicating through Facebook Messenger, which is hilarious, because he speaks Shipibo, and I'm still learning Shipibo, and so he can go through like a Shipibo Spanish. So when I go through translate, it's a little bit funky to, like, okay, what are we talking about for reals? But it is such an honor, to carry this this medicine. And so that's kind of a little backstory of me coming into the medicine and all of that. Um, and just kind of part of my disclaimer of, I'm just a little gringa girl bringing the medicine the best way I know how, guys. And I feel so blessed to be able to study and understand and bring in the the not only the Shipibo way of carrying this medicine, but adding to, the beauty of this Kiro tradition that's in the upper Andes, and then, all the other experiences that I have. So yeah, it's beautiful. You were asking about some of the questions that other people, that people had chimed in and asked. And one of the questions that came in that I thought was so interesting, and this came from a woman named Courtney. So Courtney, you were asking about, what does it feel like to observe in ceremony?
There is no such thing as observing.
Well, you can be the sacred witness. And I always say, when you're in the medicine, one of the most beautiful things, I think, and this gets a little, sciencey and stuff like that, but one of the things that I feel is so significant about the healing process with ayahuasca is that you can be in that observer space. So from a scientific and a brainwave kind of thing, is that we know that when you're under the influence of ayahuasca, when you have imbibed this beautiful plant medicine, that you're both in theta waves and beta. So you're able to have the felt sense of the experience in the physical body, yet you're up in this meditative space, which is really, I really don't know of any other means to get to beta and theta at the same time, other than this beautiful medicine. So we're able to kind of be out of the body, but yet in the body. We're able to observe our traumas and our dramas and all the things that we're trying to make peace with and forgive, and all of these different areas in our life. And we're able to see it from sort of that sacred witness, yet have the felt sense of the experience of the healing in the physical body, which really grounds it in on a deep transformational level. But for me, as a facilitator, I am drinking the medicine. I am not a sacred witness. I am there to help you, to sing the Icaros, to see what's going on with your energy lines, to run energy, to clear out whatever and pull out whatever is not serving you. So in a way, I am the observer of what's going on with you, and how can I be there helping you in clearing out, and also anchoring in and bringing in these higher frequencies. So I'm not necessarily, I'm not necessarily an observer. I am totally I am facilitating. I am drinking the medicine with you, which, by the way, if you are with a shaman who does not drink the medicine, please leave. Please leave. If your shaman is not drinking the medicine with you, please leave. Yeah, it's a big thing. It is a big thing. One of the things that is a hardcore in Shipibo tradition. So as I'm apprenticing, I'm not just learning about ayahuasca, I'm learning about master teacher plants and purgatives and ways to cleanse, and different plants that are doing this and can do that, and da, 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 it's a big plant medicine study of all different kinds of plants, which when I'm in ceremony, I'm bringing not just our ayahuasca, I'm bringing stuff for vapor baths, stuff for poultices, stuff for, the plant medicines for all different kinds of things to help you on your journey. Not necessarily that you're imbibing, but maybe a poultice that you'll apply to your heart to pull that dense energy out, or, a poultice for your head for, that freaking demon that is dictating, your every thought or whatever. So there's a lot of different plant medicines that I'm experiencing in my Shipibo apprenticeship. But I will say that the hardcore rule, and I love this, and I think that we need to adopt it everywhere, and especially in the Western world, is that you cannot serve, you cannot give, you cannot prescribe, if that's a thing, any plant medicines, any medicines at all, unless you have taken them first.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know if that really helped. Did you feel like that was a good answer for Courtney and the observer? What does it feel like to be the observer in ceremony? I I think that might have helped.
It made me also remember that I think the first time when I took ayahuasca, I was sitting in a big circle. I think we were something like 30 people participating in this ceremony. And I sat there, and the first thing that I saw, and it never happened again, it only was the first ceremony, I saw this massive anaconda coming around the circle, circling around, and then a jaguar came around. And the light was magical. And then the sun set, and there was some light. I don't remember where the light came from, but everybody, every face in that room became Fae.
Mm.
It was the most beautiful thing ever. And I think that maybe the Fae is part of me somehow. I don't know how, but I have an incredibly strong connection with them. And during the ceremony, they came out in different people's faces. But yeah, I mean, and I would say that never is a ceremony the same. I mean, it's not like you ever.
That's true. That's true.
I want to see the Fae again.
Oh, yeah. So, but it is pretty common that the anaconda comes, and it's pretty common that the black jag or any jaguar comes. Um, and those are pretty much the symbols that grandmother is in the house and on board. And so like if you start seeing in your dream time the anaconda coming or the serpent coming, this might be an indicator that grandmother is calling you. Or if that black jaguar comes, or that jaguar in general comes, it might be an indicator that grandmother is calling you, because this is how she typically will show up as these spirit animals. She's pretty much serpent. The other thing that I wanted to show you guys is my background I have on today. This is ayahuasca, not even the flower, but as you cut the branch of the ayahuasca, this beautiful flower shows up, so this is, and these patterns, these shapes that are around are considered, like, let me see if I can get over here. You can't see. Yeah, well, like right in through here. These are called the icaros. Those are the patterns that we see, the sacred geometries. And typically, as we sing the icaros, the medicine songs, these patterns will show up. And so the women of the Shipibo tribe will typically then start weaving these patterns, these icaros, these medicine songs, into their cloths. And so that's what we're seeing here are these icaro patterns, these sacred geometries. And so Kento is the kind of the name is beautiful. So yeah, just wanted to share that. So she can come in the flower. You can also see these icaro patterns, and she may show up as that anaconda or that jaguar. That's pretty.
Okay, so the next thing I want to ask you about is it's also called the Vine of the Dead. And I remember that one of the first things that I saw also during ceremony was being in the grave and the clots of dirt coming plop, 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 plop down on my body. And I was like, okay, that's cool. That's what it's like when you're dead. And I moved on, and the ceremony proceeded. Do you want to have something to say about that?
Oh boy, do I ever. So What Mia is talking about is the Banisteriopsis. The Banisteriopsis is the botanical name of this magical plant. And she is considered the grandmother herself. And anything else that you add to it is considered an additive. And typically in Shipibo world, the additive is chacruna. And chacruna brings the DMT. What's so magical about Banisteriopsis, the grandmother or the soul, the vine of the soul, is that she makes it bioavailable in the body for the DMT to come in and for us to have this psychedelic experience and for us to be able to expand out in our consciousness. And she is the one that's going to go in and really clear the body heavily. Okay. So you could have, like, for instance, I make tinctures with just the grandmother, so that you can be connected to this beautiful plant spirit without the psychedelic experience. Now, I have had people who will say to me, yes, they tap right back into their experience from before. And yeah, guys have to remember that we have every living being, every plant has DMT in your system already. So if you are taking this Banisteriopsis, the grandmother vine, by itself, you may have that experience if your pineal gland is open and clear and free and your DMT is flowing. So the vine of the soul, she is known as this because, or the vine of death, because she is infamous for bringing us to the awareness that we can leave this meat suit and we can be infinite light. She also has this reputation of anything that is not serving your highest good anymore is going to die. And she's going to show you. And sometimes we actually have, as in what Mia was saying, a spiritual death in our ceremony, because there are things that really need to die away. So, it's that soul of the vine. It's that deep work that she's going to bring with any ceremony that is going to show you what needs to die, what's not serving you, what needs to go away. And so a lot of people who are in fear of their death, and having just come out of our couple of weeks of, death rites and all that we've done on the Shamans tea, this is a great way to understand, is like, you don't have to fear death. The death of this meat suit is just one part of it. Your infinite light is going to exist on and on and on and on and on and on. And so this gives us this experience and understanding that we don't have to fear death.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's really interesting in that way. And, we know that there are huge experiences and huge examples of how people have gone in with major dysfunction, major disease in their body, and left ceremony. And if they have done their integration work, okay, understand, if they have done their integration work, i.e. not going back into the same circumstances in which created the disease in the body to begin with, then they have long-lasting significant change and even clearing and cleaning the dis-ease in the body. So emphasis on that integration process, because that's key. We can have these great epiphanies in ceremony, but if you're not willing to walk the talk as you leave, and you're going to just dive back into the same old shit and the same old patterns and the same old dysfunction, then of course that energy is going to call right back in again. but it's up to you. The real work, I feel, is in that integration part. And I cannot emphasize that enough, which is why when I'm doing ceremonies, like I really hold that space for that, where there's an integration call, 2 weeks after I say, we ride this pink cloud for the next 2 weeks, and everything is wonderful and everything is awesome. And then maybe we can have a little bit of that old patterning start to weave in after 2 weeks. So I do an integration call one-on-one with people to, remind them, hey, do you remember what your intention was? Hey, do you remember some of these integration techniques that we have? And are you doing, and how are you doing? And just kind of pointing people in that, keeping them in that right direction of where, what it is that intention is. And that we can sit in that space. And then I also hold group integration conversations on Zoom that is open for anybody to come in. And whether you've sat in one of my circles, or you've just come back from Peru, or whatever, it doesn't matter, that you can come in and have support for these integration talks. And it's a really nice time to be able to stay your focus, stay your path. What is your focused intention, and how do we navigate when these patterns start showing up again, and what are some of the tools that we can impart in that way.
So the first time, I'm going to say that a few times, then apparently this time, the first time I imbibed, she tasted like molasses.
Mm, mm.
Next time, all the other times was like, okay.
That was a question that somebody else asked, what does it taste like? So I'm glad that you brought that up.
So it was explained to me that she kind of gently eases you into it the first time with the taste, because it was not bitter the first time. It was the same batch that we drank from the second night, but it didn't taste like that the second night.
Isn't that funny how that can be? And some of that is too, and I know as I make the brew, is that at the bottom, and I try to leave some of the tannins, some of the plant matter in the bottom. And so there are ways that sometimes people will do this to break down some of the tannins in the brew so that it's not so bitter, and so that you don't have that nauseousness and that all of that. For me and the way that let me just say it like this: the purge is a good thing.
Correct. Yes.
The purge is a really good thing. So when I describe the taste, I like to say it's like drinking dirt mixed with maybe a hint of stout, a hint of chocolate, and a whole lot of like, what the fuck is this? And it kind of goes like this, boo at the end, woo. But I love the taste. I do. I love the taste of it. But I mean, I serve the medicine, so um, yeah. So the taste can be a little like, whoa, this is But I always, and there are some people that will, I see this a lot, and I try not to have judgment about it, um, who will swish their mouth out to get the taste out, because the last thing that you want to do is throw the medicine up within the first 10 minutes. You really want it to stay in. So, if that's what you need to do, rinse your mouth out, spit it in your bucket, that's totally cool. But for me, and my way is like, I really want to welcome this plant. And as gnarly as it is going down, sometimes it's like, okay, let me just thank you, thank you, thank you. I received this medicine. I welcome this medicine into my body. I'm not going to repel it. I'm not going to, do my, like, so I kind of like to switch the mindset of, oh, this is nasty, to, oh, this is a blessing and thank you, no matter how different it may taste.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the other thing too is that the taste is going to be a little bit different also, And this is something to know, and I want you guys to understand this, that you have the right to ask your shaman, no matter where you're sitting or who you're sitting with, you have the right to ask, what is in your medicine? What's in your medicine? A lot of people, especially in the jungle, it is doggy dog in the jungle. I mean, you guys, jungle drama is for real. And so, you can imagine that there's a lot of tourists coming into Iquitos and wanting to experience. And so it's like, hey, ayahuasca, come on over here. Yeah, I'll be your shaman. Yeah, come on this way. Blah, 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 blah. Like there's a lot. And so they want to get this big bang. They want to serve you and get a big bang going on. And, like I've got them for one night. Let me get it in, like, and so they're adding all of these extras, right? Remember what we already said, Banisteriopsis, bee caapi is the medicine in and of itself without any hallucinogens. Typically, chacruna is added. When you start hearing mapacho being sprinkled in, stand back. Heart palpitations. Mapacha is the tobacco. Now, I'll blow the smoke into my brew because that carries the prayers, but I'm not going to sprinkle the mapacho in because I do not want heart attack. And so we know tobacco is that heart racer. Another one that's really big that is sprinkled in is Toei. And if you are not experienced, and if this is your first or second or even third or fourth or fifth time in the medicine and you hear Toei, just know that you need to really I'd be asking questions of my shaman. Well, how long have you dieted Toei? And if I hear 15, 20 years, then I'm going to go, okay, just know that the Toei is a super, super deep, 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 scary, deep plant. I don't want to scare the shit out of you guys, but have a healthy respect for it. I've never dieted it. But the understanding is that it's going to take you on a long ass deep journey where you may not come out of the journey after 4, 5, 6 hours, that you may be in Toei land for a long time. Toei is typically when somebody diets Toei, it is with a master shaman who has that this is their medicine, and they are with you, and you will drink this medicine and you will be tripping for 5, 6 days.
Okay, no, thank you for that one.
Deep ancestral work. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I know a few people who have dieted with it, and it's been an experience where they did not know who they were, where they were for 5 days, that they were with the ancestors partying for 5 days. So, really, I guess all of this is to say is ask what's in your brew, feel it, muscle test it, ask questions, understand. Typically it's Toei. I mean, it's bee caapi, the grandmother vine, and chacruna on the shipibo. I add bobinsana. Bobinsana is not a hallucinogen. She is a master teacher plant of love. I am a devotee of bobinsana. I've done several diets with her at this point. So it's just adding that love into the medicine and that master teacher of love. So yeah, ask what's in your brew, and that'll make a difference about the taste too. So yeah.
Is it about rue or Siberian rue or something?
Oh yeah. So there is. All right. So I want to thank you for bringing that up. Let's talk about that a little bit. I also carry the medicine of Syrian rue and acacia and mimosa. And so this medicine came to me because, well, number one, with the borders closing with COVID, our medicines have been being confiscated by the customs as they come in. So Banisteriopsis is totally legal. It is legal in the United States. Chacruna is totally legal in the United States. It's the combination of the two that makes it a little iffy. So plant medicines coming in from Peru were at an all-time halt. Oh my gosh, so many of us have lost our tail ends financially because they've confiscated the medicine and because the medicines are not coming in. And it's been my feeling that this has happened because we need to make room for this very old ancient medicine that is Syrian rue, and it brings the medicine like the Banisteriopsis does, making it bioavailable for the DMT to come in, which is what the acacia does and the mimosa does. And so to me, it's very beautiful in how this works. And I love serving them one night in the grandmother medicine and the next night in the Syrian rue medicine, which I like to call the grandfather medicine. It kind of brings a balance. So let's think about this for a second, guys. Here's this grandmother medicine in ayahuasca that makes way for the DMT to come through, makes it bioavailable, is going to, have you going in this deep space and clearing out. So it's this feminine energy that's making way for chacruna to come in, which is this masculine energy. Now, on the other hand, we have the Syrian rue, who is this deep galactic old Egyptian, like we're talking African roots, guys. African roots, like way old medicine, but seriously coming in through Syrian, star medicine, galactic energy. And this grandfather's medicine, the masculine, is now making way for this light and lovely DMT to come in, this feminine energy. So it's almost like the opposite. So we're getting this beautiful balance of this jungle medicine, feminine, making way, come on in, let's go. And then having this Syrian rue and acacia or mimosa coming in. And it seems to me that, and I'm offering this in our all love gatherings because I have worked these medicines together and I am so in love with the balance. So opening up with the grandmother medicine, and which is ayahuasca. And so because these medicines have really come into fruition, and I believe they showed up on my table because we need to open up into this fifth dimension. Like grandmother is coming in and clearing out the deep shit and the stuff in the back of the heart and the DNA stuff. And then we can boom into our galactic and our fifth dimension and blast out to bring these consciousnesses in a deeper way. So when these medicines that are so ancient and so old come back on the table again, it's like, oh wow, this is beautiful, this is really, really beautiful. And I happen to feel, and this was through much meditation and journeying with this, is that perhaps those medicines were being confiscated again in the bigger picture so that this medicine could come through and we can serve them both. And we see them being called this Syrian rue and mimosa is being called anahuasca. Anahuasca. Why? Because it's ayahuasca analog. So we have Aya and we have Ana. So it's kind of interesting, the ayahuasca being that deep, and there are, traditions, the mestiza, they use different plants, and all of that. They will use the mimosa as opposed to the chacruna. So it's really interesting and how these medicines are developing and coming out. And so, but that's why I ask, it's so important to ask what's in your brew and what's happening there, with all of that. Know what you're taking, because these are plant spirits, guys. And this is like your opportunity to commune, to develop a relationship with these beautiful plant teachers. And so if you're just going in and drinking the medicine and you don't even know who you're communing with, this is what I feel is so important about the dieta, is that it's an opportunity for us to sit down and actually have conversations long before you even sit with and drink the medicine, is that you're going into dieta at least, at the very least, a week before you imbibe, which brings to mind the contraindications, and it's a serious thing. You got to know what's in your medicine, because you got to know how to approach, and you have to know what your contraindications are. There's a lot of, with either one of those medicines that I talked about, the Syrian rue or the grandmother Anna or Aya, there are contraindications, you guys. It's serious contraindications.
Do you
So
want to talk about that, or is that something that you would prefer to talk about when people sign up to do the work? I mean, to do ceremony with you?
Oh, it is, let's say you say, Starr, let's talk about grandmother medicine. Let's see, like I'm really being called, and it's all those things that you talked about. I'm really being called. You know what I do right away? Okay, here, I'm going to send you a PDF. I'm going to send you a form. Let's fill this out. And I want to know all the deets. I want to know physical, emotional, spiritual. I want to know that you are safe on all levels to come into this medicine. And so some of the things that we look at is those SSRIs, the mood enhancers. If you are on any kind of Zoloft or any kind of, mood enhancers for depression or anxiety or any of those things, you could have serious, serious repercussions in a serotonin overload, which would then be stroke or, things that we just don't want to deal with. So some of that, if you fill out this form and I go through it, and then we go back and have a conversation and say, okay, so if you're really being called to do this, I want you to sit with your physician and I want you to start weaning off of these meds. Or, oh, caffeine is going to be a big thing for you. So we're going to start your dieta maybe 2 weeks early and slow roll you off of caffeine so that you're not having the heart palpitations or the deep detox headache as you're sitting in this medicine. And it's so tragic to be sitting in the medicine with a detox headache. So there are some things that I will do a slow roll into your dieta, like, okay, we're going to start weaning you off of caffeine, or we're going to start weaning you off of fermented foods, or X, Y, or Z that is contraindicated, and putting you on the typical dieta is no fat, no sugar, no salt, no sex, no recreational drugs, really no drugs or supplements, no alcohol. Those are the biggies. But there is a list of medications that are no-nos. So you really need to know that. And I send you all that whole list so that and really set you up into a really good space. So yeah, it's really important to know that. And I keep always going back to the dieta as a philosophy. If you think about it as, oh, I can't have this, or I can't have that, I can't have, well, let's talk about the reasons why we can't. And let's understand that and what the philosophy is. And the philosophy is that we're trying to set you up into your best case scenario so that you can go into this plant medicine and get what you really want in your intention, cleaning out the old stuff, clearing out the trauma, clearing out the drama. If you are coming in with a bunch of salt, salt is a retainer of the energy. So we clear that out so that you don't have that layer. Like, for instance, when we're going into ceremony, we put a layer of salt all around the location so that demonic energy cannot come in while we're there and open and so vulnerable. So, that salt is that layer. So we take you off the salt so that those demons can come at ya.
Awesome. So let's talk about the Icaros, because I love I love snipping in here and telling my experience if I can.
Yeah,
Um,
yes, yes. I think it's so helpful, you know?
so I love the Icaros, and sometimes I find like, stop it. Sometimes I feel like you would stand over me and do the Icaros, and I was like, it's like digging into me, stop it. And
Yes.
other times it feels like the Icaros are coming around the room, and someone like, no, we not for you, skipping over to the next person, and other ones are coming. I'm like, let's do some cleaning out here. And it feels like sometimes the first time you hear it, it's like, oh, this is the most sublime music ever. And then the next night it comes by and it was like, and now, it's cleaning you up tonight. So it really, that it's an amazing experience, and it's one of my favorite experiences of sitting in ceremony, that experience of the Icaros working on your body. And I mean, there's an Icaros for snake bite, isn't there?
There's a Nicorette pretty much for everything. Yeah. The Icaros are such an important part of the medicine. And um, that is another thing that I always suggest to ask your shaman. Do you sing the Icaros? That's very telling question, and a very telling answer is that, you know, is this just some fly by night person that's gotten medicine and feels like they can sit and hold space, but yet they're going to put on a playlist and not sing?
Mm.
The medicine songs are so important in ceremony. And, you know, Mia, you're right. I love to tell the story of sitting with Vilma. Vilma is my mentor's wife. And so I was my first round in apprenticeship with Enrique was primarily men, you know, and singing, 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 singing. And his wife was coming in to sing, and it was going to be a big shindig, and I was ecstatic. Yes, feminine energy in the ceremony, you know, like this is going to be so good. I was so freaking stoked. Lord have mercy, the woman started singing, and it was like, I was like, oh no, how am I gonna do this now? Oh, I mean, like cat claws on the chalkboard. It was rough. And oh man, it started churning and burning and funkalicious all in my gut. And I was like, just miserable, miserable. And what seemed like an eternity of her singing and me sitting there with this churning gut and like, oh man. I finally was able to make it to the bathroom carrying my little bucket because I know it's going to be like both ends, right? You know, this purge is going to be big. Best crap of my life. I'm telling you, hands down, cathartic. I come out and this woman sounds like a freaking angel. By the end of the ceremony, I'm there at her feet, just blessing, like, thank you so much. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. Oh my God, this was so great. So I always tell people, you know, this story, and like, so if I start sounding like this to you, go take a crap and come back. I might sound better. Or just hang in there because there may be another song, you know, that's going to come. And for me, because I've dieted with several different master plants, these diets, every single dieta that I have done starts singing through me, and all these plants sing through me. So I know it sounds like I'm kind of like, I got all these voices in my head, but I do. I have different plant spirits that sing through me. So you might resonate with Bobansana. She sings in this really high voice. And then there might be Noyarao coming in, kick your ass, you know? So there's different plant spirits that come in and they bring these songs, and it's kind of all intuitive of, oh, this person, you need to go over here, and this person needs to hear Pisha, because Pisha is going to pull that shit out. And if you are resistant to pulling out whatever it is, and you're holding, your ego is still holding on for dear life for these, you know, stories and these things that you feel like you still need, it's gonna sound pretty gnarly, you know, and it's gonna be like, oh my God, please stop, please stop, please stop. And I'm not gonna stop. That song will not allow me to stop. That plant medicine will not allow me to stop until we have completed our mission. And you know, whatever that mission is, rather it's to, okay, she really needs to puke, or we need to balance out this energy, or we need to pull out this heavy. So there's an ikaro for everything, you know. The very first ikaro that I lay down, I feel like it's a foundation and it's a protection. It's a badassery protection. In fact, you know, it's like, you know, demons are gonna fear me, and I've got, you know, I've got my posse with me, and I got my sword and my shield, and you know, like it's a really badass, you know, saying, you know, we're laying down this, you know, we're calling in the night and the day, we're calling in every, you know, the gorillas, you know, we're calling in the gorillas to stand guard in our medicine space, where, you know, so it's, you know, it's a pretty big, the first few layers of Ikaros that I laid down are protection, and then welcoming the ancestors and welcoming all of those guides that are here to help us, and you know, welcoming those in. But there's Ikaros for, you know, cleansing, there's Ikaros for raising the energy, or if the energy is too high and somebody is going, whoa, spinning out, and I can't hold on to their tether, you know, for whatever reason, I'm going to sing an Ikaro to bring them back down again, you know. So there's an Ikaro kind of for pretty much any case scenario, you know.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Well, that brings me to the next point.
Okay.
So this is a plant that's very much about unity consciousness. And as we take it, the other thing that I have found is, like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, I think it's coming. Oh, and then somebody over there pukes, and suddenly, thank you. I don't need to puke anymore.
Wow, yeah, I've seen where people purge for other people, or that, like you say, it is a collective thing. Like you have been working on something that you've picked up on the collective level, or that you have been, you know, working through, and that person has also experienced that, and when they puke, you feel better. And so a lot of times that purge is a collective. And the other thing that's so beautiful on the collective level is the space of love, right? The space of pure bliss love that we enter to. And by the end of these ceremonies, we are such a tight knit bond, and, you know, so in love, because why, we have become that beam of love, and we can see through the eyes of love, we can see through the eyes of not this hurt and this pain anymore and this suffering, and all of a sudden everything is just freaking amazing. And where have we been all of our lives, you know? And there's this deep, deep love that, not that so much that we have for one another, but that we are, and so therefore we can see it in one another.
Mhm.
And I think that sometimes this is, and if I could speak to the atrocities that happen in ceremony, this is probably where it comes from, is this still attachment to this egoic space that says love is associated with sexuality, and that I love, 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 love my shaman. I'm in love with this person that's been sitting next to me, or I'm in love, and we equate it with that 3D love instead of this expansive fifth dimension consciousness of unity love. And those boundaries get a little weird, you know, in ceremony, or can get weird if you do not have a facilitator that is clear. in those boundaries, is not clear with what is really happening in this collective consciousness of pure bliss love. And when, as a facilitator, as that, like the all love gathering, that is the ultimate goal, that we embody pure bliss love, and that we're not projecting our old ways of thinking about what pure bliss love really is, as a facilitator. And I was actually talking about this at the fire ceremony, and it was a big dialogue because I was with other medicine people. That was so beautiful to share this, and that is like, you know we have to own our projections. And as a facilitator, we have to be extremely clear in how we hold that space and integrity, in that during ceremony, we are projected on big time. It's a beautiful thing, but I don't own any of it.
Mhm.
At one moment, I may be your sister that you need to work through stuff, or I may be your mother, or I may be Medusa, or I may be, that lover that you have been looking for. And, all of those things are projected on me. And I just stand there singing the Icaros of like, I'm all of that and I'm none of that.
It's the
I
journey.
am not, your projection, and I'm there for you to work through whatever it is, but I'm not owning any of it. So the difficulty comes when somebody has projected onto a facilitator these beautiful, like, oh my God, we're love, like, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. It's like, of course you do, like, but I'm not owning that, and I'm not ready to bed you down. And I'm not, I have my clear boundaries. And I do feel like this is where that nuances get a little skewed in the boundary situation. I mean, I've had I you guys know, or maybe you don't, I don't know. I often have all women gatherings because there have been women that have felt they have been taken advantage of in ceremony,
Mhm.
and they need a safe space to work through this. And this is, these fine lines, of the consciousness of unity, of love, and how we project that. And if we're still in this, ooh, I'm gonna come in and, but I really do. Or the other one, and they actually even talk about this in our facilitator training, of how people will say, the plants told me that we're going to get married. If the plants give you a message, something about love, it is a deeper relationship that they want with you, not your
Mhm.
facilitator, not the person on the mat next to you, not the one that was sitting across from you that you have a really great connection with, but with the plants themselves. That they want to marry you, that maybe you need to go and do a little bit more of that. So, if you start getting these messages of, like, oh, I'm supposed to be with this person, while you're in ceremony, you need to drop back and really look at your connection with the plant spirit itself. And that maybe she's asking you for a little bit more of a commitment on your end, because it's usually a projection.
Well, but so here is that very important part that comes in. You have already trained as a shaman and you've done a lot of healing work. And this is the journey of the wounded healer. And if we haven't done that healing work on ourselves and we say like, okay, but I've learned all the Icarus and I know how to make the tea, and if you haven't done that backup work of that shamanic healing work on yourself, all this progressions that people are projections that people are sending your way can suddenly really mess with you and can really disrupt your ceremony.
It's true. And also is like, if and this is why I always, I mean, like, I'm a stickler about this, is nobody is above shadow work. I'm
Yeah.
not above shadow work. In fact, I'm even more susceptible to shadow work and have to do it almost on a daily basis, and check my ego and check myself to make sure that I'm coming from that clear space, because it can become extremely egoic. Can you imagine, sitting in, I mean, and it's a beautiful place, to be in, where everybody has reached this pure bliss love and are owning it. But if people are, like coming up, and I've had this, I've had this where people will come up and, literally kiss my feet while I'm singing the Icaros. And it's like, they're not kissing my feet, they're kissing the roots of the plants. And I have to be really clear about that. It's not me. I'm just a channel, I'm just a little gringa girl, y'all. like, so I can't own that. I can't take that. And the moment that we start to own that or take that is the moment that we better sit our asses down and really dive into that shadow work and really clear.
Rest my case.
Okay, what's that mean? Rest your case.
I just said that where your understanding of how the plant works and that your ego cannot take center stage here comes very much from that place of having done that work already. Because if you haven't done that work, you would not be able to say what you just said.
I've done a lot of work, y'all. I'm telling you, it is constant. It is constant, to the point where, I think I told you guys a few weeks ago, I had combo, and it was to go in and really look at, somebody had kind of pointed out that I might be carrying around some anger. And I was like, wow, I don't see that at all. I feel like I'm like the embodiment, like I miss sunshine and love, share the love, share the love, share the love. And it's not to say, you guys, that my stern mama won't come out, because she's there, but it's in a loving and kindness way. It's not like, okay, we need to sit your ass down and like, you need to like clear this out, make a choice. Where are you standing in this? So my stern mama can come out, but it's not coming from a place of anger. It's coming from a place of holding you in that tenderness and saying, this is not who you are. You are an empowered being. Sit up, straighten your crown, like what the fuck, So, when somebody projects that onto you and you're totally unaware, and what made me want to go in and look at this is that I was triggered by it. And anytime that we're triggered, it's time to go in and look. And so, just to follow up on that story, because I don't want to leave you guys hanging about what that was and how that looked for me was, because I had just come out of a ceremony and in this pure bliss love space, it was like, what the fuck, is this person projecting onto me? And I was really upset because they had done a scan on me without permission. Okay.
Sorcery.
I was going to say the jungle term for that is called brujo. You don't have permission, you don't go in and work on people. So I had just come out of ceremony, I'm all blissed and blessed, like feeling great, and I could feel this person. I was like, who's in my sphere? What's going on? Like what? And I looked at the person across from me, left eye to left eye, and I said, I see you. And I gave him that universal symbol. I'm complete with you. You need to stop. So you guys, if you don't know this, if you're ever in a situation, this breaks the energy and is like, no, stop. And, I let him know, and my Kali Ma came up. You guys, I have systems in place. You want to know that I have a Kali Ma when I'm in ceremony with you and your shit is up and I am dealing with your demons. You want to know that I have that strength to stand in your corner. So, my Kali Ma came up and he felt it, and he was like, then, oh, you have a lot of anger. Well, don't fucking scare me then. You don't want to see my Kali Ma, then be in right relationship, But because I was triggered with that, I thought, let me go in and take a look. So anger is typically stored in the liver. And I thought, what a great time to do a liver cleanse. And the best way that I knew how to do this, and I had talked to one of my sisters who carries, actually, she did this as a favor for me. She came over to bring me some mapacho, and she serves kambo to herself. She's not a practitioner, but she has enough info that she serves herself, and she said that she would serve me. I said to her, "So what do you think? She's an Ayurvedic practitioner. So what do you think is the best herb for cleansing the liver?" She said, "Hands down, kambo." Of course. So if you don't know what kambo is, it's the frog medicine, sapo. So um, so I received the sapo the next day, and it turns out that this little troll was not exactly on target. Liver was fine, but there was so much grief on my heart that really needed to come up and out, which was, all this mucus. Like I like had a lot of mucus. So yeah, it's important to do the work. It's important to know that, we are clean and clear, and that if anything is starting to trigger you, might want to go in and take a look, you know. And by triggering, what I mean is something that kind of like pokes the bear inside of you, that makes you feel uncomfortable, or makes you um, have a deep remembrance of something that is maybe old and still hanging out. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think we covered about a tenth.
It's a really good start. And I'm so grateful for you guys for, suggesting that we do this. There's so many different things that are important to ceremony, and those contraindications, being aware to talk to your shaman. Don't ever put your shaman up on a pedestal. Talk to them, talk to her, talk to him, ask the questions. What's in your medicine? And if they're not asking you about your meds that you're on and what your intentions are, it's a good time to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe let's see what questions come in after this, and then maybe we can talk again next week.
So next week I am traveling. So we might have to look at you and I doing this on a different day.
That's fine. That's
Yeah,
fine.
so we can figure that out.
Or
So
in 2 weeks.
I'm traveling to Colorado. I'm very blessed to be coming with Tribe in Colorado. I love, 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 love my group of people in Colorado. I feel so blessed to be able to serve this medicine with this group. And so I'm actually having a group ceremony and a private ceremony, which is always fun. And I love the private ceremonies where I can work with individuals or couples, and that to me is so special as well. So so yeah, it'll be really beautiful to finish, the questions up. If you guys have any other kinds of questions, and there are no ridiculous questions. That's the one thing that I really want to be clear about. It's better to ask those questions, um, and and like I said, there's no ridiculous questions or stupid questions, or ridiculous, whatever. They're all beautiful, and you might have a question for me that I have not encountered before, and which I love that. I think that's just so beautiful, and I'm always open to share. So if you want to reach out in a one-on-one, and ask your specific questions, and maybe not have it out here on the Shamans Tea, that's okay too. um, I love it. I'm here for you. Thanks for that. Thanks for playing along and being such a good interviewer. And I love all your experiences. I think that, when we come together and share our experiences, it helps. And no matter how long ago it's been, I know for you, it's been a couple of years since we were in the medicine together. And I always feel like we're always integrating. You know, I feel like I'm still integrating parts of the medicine that I received in my very first journey in 2007. You know, like there's still stuff that, oh, that's what that was. And I think that having the dialogue and sharing really helps, you know, to, oh, so that's what that was. Oh, so that's why I kept seeing anaconda. Oh, so jaguar has been coming in. Yeah, we get we get that. So beautiful.
It really puts me in the mood to be in ceremony again soon. It made me realize how much I miss that and how much I love that.
Mm, it is pretty special. That is for sure. It's pretty special. There's a lot of really cool places um, that are offering ceremony. There's a lot of beautiful, beautiful medicine men and women that offer ceremony. You have to find the one that's right for you. Hmm. And of course, I'd be honored if you would like to sit in one of my circles. It's always, you know, I love it. I love meeting new people and, you know, welcoming them in a safe and sacred way. And that's really important to me, is
Mm-hmm.
that you feel safe and that we have created a sacred space together.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Mm-mm-mm.
Mm-mm-mm. Yay, another day of the shaman's tea. Thank you guys. I feel like this is awesome.
Yeah.
Do we have a message that we want to leave? Oh, is it Ikaro that wants to come in? So this Ikaro, it is by far one of my favorite ones. Um, it's the ancestor. It's an ancestor song, and it literally is asking for the ancestors to come in and sing and dance with you,
Mm.
and welcoming them in to your world, to your life, to your mediacion, to the energies, you know, and saying, hey, come on in, let's sing, let's dance. So it's a beautiful one. All right, here we go. No kan shaiwan kai bo bo Namato Hoyokai Nesca Nesca Ranakam Noi Shawan Anipom Noi Shawan Anipom Namabo Bishkin Cheti Cheti Shamani Lado Lado Shamani No Mato Ishanon No Mato Ishanon Anokan Shayon Kai Bopo Nora Mato Hoyakai Naska Naska Shaman King Mata Hoyakai Mata Hoyakai Mata Hoyakai Amata Hoyai on Shon Mata Ishon Bonongi Naska Naska Ranika No shawan anibo, no shawan anibo, no shawan anibo. Anamapo beerskin chitti chitti chamani, raro raro chamani. No mata ishono, no mata ishono, no mata ishono. Yay. It's such a it's such a fun little one.
I missed that one. It was like, my friend is back. I haven't seen you in a while.
Oh, it's so funny how that is. Hey, my the edits on the album are going to be out. So if you guys are listening in and you want me to send you a thumb drive or whatever of the Ikaros, it'll be out within the next few days, I think.
Oh, I so am looking forward to that.
Me too. Me too. I am too. I'm so excited. It was such a fun night in the medicine, and Ciara, who produced the album, just came in, and I went into the medicine, just a little bit, facilitator dose, so that I could really tap in, and oh my gosh, it was just so fun. It was beautiful. So I'm so curious to see how it turned out, and I was so nervous about doing this, guys. I was so nervous about it because I really want to be representing these plant spirits in the best way, and it's yeah, I was nervous about it. so so I really hope it's a good thing that I'm representing these amazing medicine songs and history. Like my maestro has passed many of these icaros down to me. Many of the songs on the album are songs that I have received from the plant spirits themselves, and they're in English, but there is many of these really ancient, beautiful icaros that are in Shipibo. And so you might not know what they're saying, but you will definitely feel the vibe.
Yeah, and I think that the reason why you're doing it is after you've been in ceremony and these plant spirits have been working on you, and now you're out of ceremony, and now you can listen to this, and it's almost like it gets reawakened in your body again, and it starts working again. Of course, I don't think it's the same if you haven't been in ceremony, how effective they are, but definitely when you've been in ceremony.
They're going to be a little effective, but you're absolutely right. The whole purpose of this album was to help people in their integration process and come home to the medicine, remember to come home to those lessons, and to remember to and it will continue. And part of the thing that happens for us in ceremony is I put together a little ceremony toolkit for everybody, that will help you, items that will help you as we are in ceremony, but also in your integration. And part of that is tinctures, and one of those tinctures is a grandmother tincture, and so you can take a little and stay connected to the medicine, listening to the icaros. It helps to keep that integration smooth and beautiful, and keep you connected and remembering your valuable lessons and tools that you're bringing home.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
All right, beauties. And so it is. Until next time, so much love. Stay healthy, stay strong, stay connected to your higher self, right? Stay
Stay
connected to your higher
hydrated.
self. Stay hydrated. Hydrate these cells, because the body talks and meditation helps. Oh, oh, not
Love
good.
you guys.
All right. Love you guys. Peace and love, gratitude. Mwah. Thank you, Mia. I love you so.
Too.
Mwah.
My sis.
All right. See you guys next week. Oh, and check out Mia's channel. If you haven't done that, check out her channel and hit subscribe and write some comments. We want to hear from you. Love you.